on Cullen back on to here. All right. So, uh, you're listening there to Coach Boobon, getting ready for Menor. You guys, you got Marlington. Marlington, you were telling me before they're a scrappy team. They can come in and, they'll put a game up. What what did he say that kind of clicked in your mind a little bit? Like, hey, like anything at all, you know, what we're gonna have to do. Like, did you compare it at all or anything like that?
Well, there's no comparison between Marlington and Menor from a standpoint of size.
Yeah, yeah,
We played
yeah,
Menor earlier in the year.
yeah,
We played them, but we played them without our football players, and we were hurting a little bit size wise because they had one 6'4", 6'5" kid that
yeah.
we couldn't. We had to match up with a guard, and he had 18 points and 17 rebounds in the second half. Uh, we probably beat him the second half or played him dead even, but the first half he just went off on us. We couldn't match up with him, but they're a good team, and coach will have them ready. His guys, he spoke well when he said they're very tough kids, and they are not going to back down to anybody. They won't do it. They got
No.
five seniors, and they know how to win, and not only do they know how to win, if they're a little bit outmatched, like we were a little bit big for them, and they know how to compete against anybody. So they're not going to go in there and roll up the tents against them. They'll give Menor all they want. Men are just really, really good on their home court. Really good.
Yes, yes, indeed. But let's go into your matchup. You got Marlington. You guys, I mean, you're more prepared than anything. I feel like going into this game, you got a lot of good teams on your resume. The two games I called you against Mooney and against Fitch, unfortunately, you guys lost those games. But I tell you what, some of the best basketball I have seen from you guys in those games. You got Tony Russo. I can't talk more highly about him. The kid, one of the fastest kids I've seen. Like, he can get up and down the court. He can slow things down when he has to, but when he has to turn on the jets, he's like, all right, let's go. And he takes things off. And you got, your big guys, Jake Schneider, who can get a lot of boards and a lot of putbacks as well. And then you got DeLucia as well on there. So, talking about these guys, has anybody else stepped up to the table a little bit more that, you were kind of hoping for and they did or anything like that?
Yeah, we had a kid the other night. Play for us, Ben Weaver, another sophomore,
Ben
sixth
Weaver.
year sophomore, and he went off. He went off the other night against Poland. He had 4 for 4 from the 3-point arc and two rip dunks in traffic. And I told him after the game, I says, listen, I says, you got out of the pumpkin for a while and rode in the carriage. Go home and Google Cinderella, and you'll realize what just happened.
Yeah, that's something to say. What did he say back?
Well, it was a typical kid who they don't read a lot, and they don't know much about that kind of historical type stuff. Which I'm a
Yeah.
historian, and they laughed. He laughed. I thought it was funny, but now he knows what it means. That he needs to get out of the carriage, out of the pumpkin, which means he was kind of playing a little less than he was capable of throughout the year because he was worried about making mistakes, which all kids go through that process
Yes.
as they're developing. And he really has played well lately, and so that gives us another frontline player because I label players as players you have to have in there, players you can try, and players you can't have in there in big times. And went from one of the guys you can try to a guy that has to be in there. So that really helps. And we had three of those before. You mentioned one of them. Tony Russo's one of them. Jake Schneider's the other one. And little Drew Shapiro,
Yes.
our little sophomore point guard, he had 13 assists against Cheney, and they were chasing him around with two guys the whole game. And not many sophomores could do that in this area.
No, Shapiro. When he has came into the games, I've noticed. Great guy coming off. Coming off for you, and I mean, wow. Like, he can. Him and Russo are kind of comparable. Like, they can slow the tempo down and then bring up the speed when they have to, and they can get it into guys, big guys like Weaver and big guys like Schneider, or they can kick it out to another option, and they can shoot guys who can shoot outside a little bit more. But you know, this
One thing
season
about
here,
those two guys,
yeah,
Matt, is it's really nice when you can play two point guards at one time because
yeah,
the
yeah,
hardest thing to develop in high school today is because of the way AAU is played is players that enjoy making other teams pay people better players. And Tony's got almost 90 assists, and Drew's got about 120 assists. So those are both big numbers to put together. And that's one of the reasons why we've been a pretty consistent scoring team. Considering the team people we're playing against, we've had some pretty good numbers that way.
Yeah.
And the kid we didn't mention was my leading scorer, and Dom Cruz. He has been a
Yes.
very, very good 3-point shooter. He had 7 threes against Cheney in that game, and that was a war. And that's one of the teams in our district. So
Yeah.
hopefully,
Cheney is no slouch of a team. They are really good. So 7 threes against Cheney. It's
really
like,
athletic, really athletic.
yeah. So that's pretty fantastic there.
And we're the only team to beat Ursuline too in the area.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. You know, Ursuline, another tough team. You guys definitely have that, you know, that resume coming in here. I mean, playing teams like Ursuline, and you guys beat Ursuline, you know, by 8 too. And then, you know, it's different though. You know, you come in and play a tough team like Ursuline, and then the next game, you know, you play Mooney. You guys lost to Mooney. Like, do you guys think maybe it came in too hot? Like, oh, we just beat Ursuline and maybe took a team like Mooney a little lightly? Maybe.
You kind of stumbled onto the reason why we lost that. One of the reasons we lost the game. Mooney's a good team, and they're very well
Oh
coached.
yeah,
They
Terry
play very hard.
Colorado does a great job over there.
We did come in a little hot because we had 5 guys that had the flu, and they were in fever at home in bed, and they did not
There
play.
you go.
So that didn't help matters any, because you change everybody's roles that much. It's hard to make up for what you normally do in a game. And so I'd like to play them this time of year. It'd be a great game for both teams. But we were right in the game. We had to foul them at the end, and we lost the game. But we had the same amount of field goals, both miserable. So it's because both teams play a lot of defense, and that's why it was a competitive game.
Yes, absolutely. You're going to run into some of those games going on here in the tournament. If you guys come in, you know, get a great win in the next game, you know, I see like you guys just shift over to that next game. You know, who cares about the win we just did? We need to win this game.
Oh, yeah, we're not worried. I mean, Hubbard came out and spanked us the first quarter, and then we went off on a 27-5 run, had a good second quarter.
There you go.
And consequently, to their credit, they did a good job of coming in and giving us their best punch. And to our kids' job, we did a better job of turning the gas up on defense and putting 31 offensive points up in the fast break.
Yes, you know, I've seen a lot of teams come in and, you know, the first quarter they just kind of get smacked around. Like, you know, case in point, the game I just called, Western Reserve Louisville. I think Louisville was up maybe. I think at one point I saw maybe 15-2 at one point in the first quarter. And then that next quarter, it might have been 10-2, something like that in that range. But and then that second quarter, they came streaming back, and you know, they ended up leading by 1 at the half, and then they continued their tough defense in that second half. And you know, it just takes a little bit to adjust a little, you know. So you know, sometimes it takes time. Sometimes, you know, a team clicks the whole game, but usually you want to figure out what that other team is doing and like, hey, okay, they're doing this, they're doing that. What's a jump on this and this? And then, you know, you're on their way. Have you had a lot of games like that where you just had to adjust a little bit?
We're dealing with a lot of young kids. There's not much in a senior class. Well, I have one player there, and so they're all learning on the job. It's been, I said, our biggest enemy is going to be time, and we need to improve in terms of maturity quickly. And with the schedule we had with Ursuline, Louisville, and Menor, and all those kind of people, that kind of forced our maturity along. And so therefore we were able to compete with a lot of really good teams based on the experiences we've had. So you just can never tell how kids are gonna show up, and sometimes you have to learn from failure, and how you respond to failure, which is a bad first quarter, determines how you're going to be, if you're going to have a successful team. You can respond by getting nervous and panicking. You're not going to be very good. If you respond by getting down to business and playing the way you're capable of playing, I call it PTRW, playing the right way. You do that, you usually end up on top.
Yes, PTRW. I'm going to keep that in mind. Playing the right way. Wow, that's going to be something to talk about later. I
use those all the time. I have at least 1 or 2 of those up in the pregame every week, and they enjoy trying to figure out what they are. Now they're
Yes.
starting to finish my sentences for me, so they're okay.
Sweet. Sweet. So like going out through this season here, what do you think your goals are? Like coming in here, you got a great squad, team that can win a lot of games in this tournament. You guys can make a good run. And what do you think is your main goal?
Our main goal as was this year is to and the program was in good hands with Coach Muckelroy before, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
we wanted to play in some very big games this year, and we hadn't won a league championship since he won one in 2013. So that was 8 years ago, and so
Yeah.
we tied for the league championship this year. That was one of our biggest goals. All right, then after that, now we want to get we want to get into a district final and give ourselves a chance to go to the regionals because we did that 5 times when I was here before, but that hasn't happened since 2000. So
Oof.
our goal is to get in there and uh, win these next 2 games against some quality teams, and then play either Cheney or Alliance to get into the regional, and then see where it goes from there. So we would like to win the sectional and district championships and give ourselves a chance to play over at the Civic Arena.
Yes, yeah, that would be a sight to see, most definitely. So you definitely did your research there. 8 years since the league championship, and you guys tied for that. So check that off. Now, next one. What'd you say? Since 2000, you said. So
Well, tonight's
that's
the
something.
sectional championship.
Okay, okay. So
We don't downgrade that. Any championship you can play for in your lifetime is a big deal.
oh yeah, most definitely. And so what do you? So we talked about this a little earlier. Uh, focusing, it's definitely one game at a time, and you don't want to look too far into the future. Like you said, like Cheney and Alliance, waiting for you on the other end. A team that you faced before, in Cheney. So if they happen to get there, you got your assignments and everything. Like you played them before, kind of
And we
what
played
the
Alliance
game.
also.
Yeah, you played Alliance too. So you kind of know each team, like you feel a little comfortable with that, like you know them, you play that whether you lost or you won, you played them, so you know what to fix against them. I like that when other teams rematch. And you played Marlington as well before, so you got a good look at them now. It's a different stage. That's the only thing. Regular season and postseason, other teams can just flip a switch on. Usually, when you go in and play a team a second or in the playoffs, and you play them in the regular season, you try and go with what you did in the regular season that won you the game, or if you lost it, you try and fix those mistakes that you made. And if either of those don't work because different stage, uh, what do you got to do to make that quick adjustment? Like, hey, this isn't working. We got to switch to this real quick.
But one thing we do, and especially with young kids, they want instant gratification, whether it's positive or
Yeah.
negative. They want to know what's going on. So I stay up real late at night after a game and make 3 different evaluations: a statistical evaluation,
Wow.
evaluation of our team grade card, which has 23 different levels we try to achieve during the game. Then I get my biggest one is pluses and minuses, or why we either won the game or what we did to win the game, and what could have cost us the game. And so we
Huh.
want to try to fix those. That determines a lot of our practice plan the next day on fixing the things that held us back in that game. And you want to do what you do best and do it often. And you want to eliminate the things that are keeping you from being a better team. So we've kind of done that all year, and that's kind of worked out for us because they've really improved throughout the year. And we'll have our bad streaks just like anybody else, but
Yep.
they're not continual.
Yeah, and talking about like bad streaks, like they're gonna happen. All the teams have them. Win 3 or 4 in a row. I mean, I was there when Badger went through their little skid, but it's about rebounding from that. Uh, you know, rebounding from that and being like, hey, okay, we were in a skid. Let's snap out of it. Have you noticed that at all? Like you in a little skid, and the next thing you know, somebody comes up and says, "All right, I'm sick of this." Have anybody in particular step up
Well,
like that?
you do. I mean, you have kids that really they all want to be good players, and they all want to help the team and contribute and that kind of thing. And the thing is, what we have to impress upon them is there's no mistakes unless you don't turn them into lessons. That is a mistake. That's the number one
Yes.
mistake. And so we really try to take ownership and of what we did wrong or what we're not doing well enough, and address that. So you're not always going to make your weaknesses your strengths, but you can't let your weaknesses beat you. And that's the thing we've tried to do is get better. And defense had a lot to do with that. We had to get a lot better defensively because we weren't very good, because these guys just hadn't played varsity competition. And JV,
Yes.
the difference between JV and varsity competition is light years in terms of athleticism and intensity and skill levels and that kind of stuff. So they've had to play against some of the best kids in the area and learn on the job, and that's not always easy.
No, absolutely not. And we talked about just a little bit ago, you talked about time, and time is undefeated. Nobody can beat time. It's just how you cope with the time that you have. And time runs out very quick in some of these games. When I'm calling it, next thing you know, 8 minutes is 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh geez, we're already halfway through the first, and then next thing you know, it's halftime. So what do you guys got to do to control the clock? Not only in this game, but if you win throughout the whole tournament, what do you guys got to do to control that clock? Keep looking up at that clock or something like that. To like, hey, all right, at this point in the game, let's slow it down. Let's keep pick up the pace. What do you guys got to do to
Well, the main thing you have to do is you have to feel the pulse of the game. If the game's going, maybe we're in a cold streak, we're missing everything, and we're shooting quick shots. Sometimes you just need to slow down and make sure you're getting shots that are better shots than you've been getting. We don't want to just get good shots. We want to get shots we can't miss. And so we try to go inside. We try to get layups. We try to get to the free throw line and shoot some uncontested shots, that kind of thing. But you have to feel the pulse of the game. When it's time to turn a knife and speed it up and really get after them, you do that. When it's time to make them play more defense, because people get tireder on defense than they do on offense,
they
then
do?
we try to do that. That's what we try to do to Ursuline. And at the end of the game, we pulled away from them just because we shot a lot of layups in that game. And consequently, they're a very, very good team, very hard to beat, very well coached.
Yeah.
But if you're playing more defense than offense, nobody's very well coached.
No, no. And talking about Ursula, like that had to be a war of a game. I bet you guys after that game were completely exhausted, I bet. So, but that game probably prepared you for a lot of future matchups, I tell you that.
I think it
And
prepared both teams, really, because Ursuline
both
hasn't
teams.
lost since then, except they did lose to Spire the other night, but Terrence Pankey didn't play, so that's not Ursuline without him.
Yeah, that is true. But so going on here, I mean Marlington, it's a little bit of a not that far of a drive. About 45 minutes or something like that. During that bus ride, do you guys have like a tradition? Do you guys stay quiet, or do you want to keep them alive? Do you want to
Well,
you want them?
we used to have that silent trip type
Yeah,
thing. Or sometimes I'll give them something to read on the way over there, whether it be a scouting report or something of that nature. But the thing is, in today's world, you don't have to worry about noise on the bus with social media and with headphones and this and that.
yeah,
You couldn't even talk to them if you wanted to.
yeah.
That's just what they do. They're all wrapped up in their own world there. There's very little talking on the bus at all. And so we'd like them to spend a little more time thinking about the game. But the
Yeah.
main thing is we want them in a relaxed state of mind and concentrating on what we worked on in practice, and maybe the scout report. And then after that, they can just enjoy themselves and relax. And we expect them to warm up very hard when we get there. That's a big part of our routine. We don't go through the motions in warm ups.
No, you want them to break up a little sweat.
Break up a little sweat. Yep.
Yeah.
And work on the fundamentals that they're going to need to transfer into the game. A lot of people practice a lot, especially even in the summertime and when they're on their own and practice. We don't free shoot ever. We don't do that.
No.
We either shoot for fun, we either shoot technique shooting or we shoot for competition shooting. And if you're not doing those two things, you're not going to translate what you've done into game shooting. A lot of people put up a lot of shots in the summertime, not at game speed. That's not going to help you. You're not going to improve very much doing that.
Yes, most definitely. But hey, Coach, we're running out of time here.
Okay.
One more question for you before we send it off here. Have you guys? I talked about the Hallam coach about this. If you heard, talking about fun. Now, have you done anything like that just to keep keep the spirit alive. Any fun traditions you do in practice or anything like that, just to keep the rhythm going for your guys.
Well, first of all, yeah, that's a good question. First of all, what we try to do is, and our practice is the same. We're either working on the technique of how to defend this and how to defend that and how to create. We call it sweeping the corners, where you do the little things to make the big things work. But when it's time to have fun, if competition is not fun for you, go find another sport that maybe not as competitive, because it's very competitive out here. And so that's one of the things we do is try to compete. Then we also try to have fun doing some things off the court. For example, we did some community service, went and loaded up about 60 cars and trucks with food to feed people that were less fortunate around the area. We did that in the wintertime. We also went to the YSU game and went down and ate at the Avalon, did that kind of stuff. And so
good pizza
we're
there.
trying to do some things, team dinners every week where we have games and this and that after dinner and that kind of stuff we play that are very competitive. And we just try to do things other than just be on the court, because I want them to get to know each other just as well as people as they do as players. And the thing is, if you notice, if you go walk down through the corridors of a high school, every kid's got their phone out. They could break their nose, walk into a wall without even looking what's going on. And so we want them really spending time together and getting to know each other and getting to appreciate what everybody has to bring to the table, because it's very important. And like I say, morale, the best way to get good morale on a team and your culture and that kind of thing is to be a great passing team. And we usually average, if we score 24 field goals or 25 field goals, we usually average 18 or 19 assists, which means we help each other score. And that way people don't mind passing the ball because other people are getting them when they're open. To me, that's fun when you get your shots. It's not fun when you don't get any shots. And I don't let them shoot shots they can't make, but I do want them having just as much fun making a good pass as they do making a basket.
Yes, most definitely. But Coach, thanks for coming on here and chatting with me today. I appreciate you, and good luck on your tournament run. We'll possibly maybe bring you back on here in the future. But thank you so much for coming on here with me.
If you see any Blaney and Moy and all those old Badger guys, make sure you say hello to them for me tonight.
I will. I'll definitely see John Moy tonight because he's an assistant coach. So I'll talk to him about you. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. I'll talk to you.
All right. Thanks, John.
All right. Bye.